This episode of TRS is brought to you by The Ben Heck Show, building, modding, and electronics culture with Ben Heck and Friends. Brought to you by Element 14. Coming up on today's show, we get behind the wheel and take a look at Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
We're talking about Need for Speed Hot Pursuit today. So obviously EA has this very popular long-running racing series called Need for Speed. There's arcade versions, there's more simulation versions, and then there's this company called Criterion that has this series called Burnout that I know all of us fell madly in love with. That it was a really arcadey, explosion-y kind of crash fun series. Then EA decides to acquire Criterion. So it sounds like a match made in heaven. Put Criterion on your very popular racing series, Need for Speed. So that's what we've got. We've got a Criterion-authored Need for Speed this week. And my question to you guys is, if it looks like a Burnout and it quacks like a Burnout,
is it a Burnout?
Is it a Burnout?
Interesting.
Alex?
It's interesting that I don't think I knew that backstory before I started playing this, and I was like, wow, this is a lot like Burnout. I had a lot of fun playing this game. They do a lot of things that I think they do very, very well. They've really upped the ante on the challenge your friends thing, where they even recommend friends' scores to try to beat.
Yeah, so the whole game is built around this thing called Autolog, which is a constantly online, constantly updating, almost Facebook for racing games.
Because there's like, you have a wall, and people can see your wall and stuff
and
like
it's
that.
Constantly feeding you statistics based on your friends' achievements in the game. So it tells you right out the gate, like, oh, they used this car on this track, and they, achieved this score, and it gives you challenges that are custom made for you based on your friends list. So,
and there are two paths in the game. You can either play as the sort of like
the law enforcement
backyard racers breaking the law, and then the law enforcement where your job is to sort of stop those things.
Right.
The law enforcement stuff I felt a little bit tedious. It was really fun when I was capturing people, but then they just sort of said, respond to the call, which is basically just a road race. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, there's a lot of different challenges on each side, but
Definitely.
I think the newest thing that they've added is these power-ups that are a lot like the game we talked about, Blur, where you can, shoot people basically.
Strips. Yeah, your EMP.
They're all based in reality.
Yeah, right.
But it's basically
a mine,
a rocket.
Yeah. And then some sort
helicopter
of
action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun to have in this game. My one gripe would be, and it's going to sound really weird, I'm getting too many cars. You get too many cars too often. Every race, I unlocked a car. Every race. So I really felt like there was no joy in it.
Early on, yeah.
Yeah, but so, I mean, it took a while for that to stop, you know what I mean? But it's like, it really devalues the joy of unlocking a car when I mean, some of these things I finished in 14 seconds. Unlock a car. I mean, it was like, okay, I mean, I need a little bit of stick with my carrot.
Can I piggyback on that and ask?
Please, jump on back.
It didn't seem like there was any measure to see handling, or it just seemed like I could see miles per hour and horsepower and acceleration. But I didn't see any gauges on this one. Is really powerful, but bad handling.
Drifty, a little bit. Yeah, it didn't seem like they gave you that
those meters
info
anywhere, which I would have used to select a car.
Yeah, I just went for top speed. I was always
exactly.
hitting my top speed, so I was like, well, the faster car at top speed goes
Well,
faster.
the bigger
And some were
cars
locked, which is good.
The bigger cars take more damage than the smaller cars.
But again, that's not indicated on the selection
there was
screen.
tool tips and stuff that came up that would tell you.
But either way, so I think it was really fun, and the playing of the game was actually quite enjoyable. They really like Burnout. They really get that speed, that feel of speed. But it's also just a racing game. At the end of the day, that's what it is. I'm not a big fan of car racing games per se, so, Dan,
I know you are.
I am a huge fan of car racing games. Huge fan of of Burnout and huge fan of certain installments of the Need for Speed franchise, notably Shift that we had.
Which was more of a simulation
was the
one.
simulation one, and Most Wanted.
And there's a big Shift 2 promo on
Which,
this
by the
thing.
way,
No,
I did
which
want to
was
say,
amazing.
horrible, unskippable preview of the next game you're
but
gonna have
it was
come
an
out.
incredible preview.
It's like
It
every
doesn't
DVD
matter.
by
I was
now
like,
that
dude,
has-
now I'm pissed. This is gonna happen every time I pop a game in.
Oh my god, I thought that was incredible.
It was a
though.
great, no, it was great, but
All right,
non-skippable ad.
What is your...
But I didn't have any fun playing. I don't think it quacked like Burnout. First of all,
Wow.
In the least. But
Why? Explain that.
well, the whole picture is what I don't understand is first. I will say the graphics are stunning, as they are with most racing games, and I find it interesting that racing games are the Matrix or Heat for show off your DVD player. Like even in your favorite system, the 3DO, I remember there was
funny.
that amazing racing game.
it is my favorite system.
Yeah.
That showed off. Like it's just funny.
Road Rash?
That was Project Gotham.
I love
when
Road Rash.
Xbox came out, Project Gotham Racing. Boom.
Yeah,
Look
like-
at this gorgeousness.
Well, really
it's
is
the
a
most
stunning-
photorealistic
Yeah.
kind
It
of
is, and I guess
situation.
you have such a controlled. It's not an open world, you know. Oh well.
It's a easy comparison to the real world.
Yeah, interesting. But they had this great chase game called Need for Speed Most Wanted that was this open world, go anywhere, and I'm outrunning cops, and it's arcadey, and it's so much fun, and they completely abandoned it, and this is their second attempt, I believe only second attempt, at doing the cops and robbers thing in cars. And the other one I thought completely failed. I forgot, was when we were in the highway battles, it looked like Bad Boys 2 a little bit. It was 2 years ago
yeah.
or something. And now this one
Oh yeah, which we saw at PAX or something like that.
just is a racing game to me. It's not the outrunning cops. I'm basically just racing, and I'm not taking down cars in the way that it feels like in Burnout as often as it is in Burnout. It's not. I'm not able to maneuver on the track the same way. The shortcuts I found came really quick. The handling of every car felt very similar and weighty, and I think I'm pretty good at racing games, and I found
I
that.
whooped all your scores.
Right,
Just
well,
saying.
I just
whooped them.
Okay.
Just worked them all. Just got
That's
them.
all right.
If I got the game after you, I may have worked your scores.
just
Yeah,
saying.
you would, because I did his.
I'm only saying that because the last time when we did Blur, you said that to me.
Right, because I had the game after you.
I know.
But that brings up a good point. The only fun I did have was playing online. I played online against another guy, and that was much more fun than just a single player. I just feel like they haven't really given me the thrill of outrunning the open world does that, and that Most Wanted was so great. Give me a Most Wanted number 2 or 3, or really expand on something that you honed in on. I feel like being on rails and just racing on a racetrack.
Yeah.
I completely disagree. What I loved about this game was that it wasn't an open world. I'm much more comfortable I love Paradise. I love Burnout Paradise, but I'm much more comfortable in a racing game where I know that I'm going to select this track, I'm going to go and do it, and I don't have to find my own route. I always got frustrated in Paradise when I was in a race, and because I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, I ended up losing the race.
Yeah, right.
I love this game, and I really didn't expect to. I think it was a big surprise, and I don't know why I had low expectations, but I thought it felt like let's just shovel Criterion onto this idea of cops and robbers, and I thought it was going to be a really shallow cops and robbers implementation. I thought it was going to get old, and boy, it didn't get old for me at all. I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop. I loved.
True, I called him to go pick up the game, and he was like, I thought I was gonna give it to you in like an hour and a half. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, man. I really dug all the police stuff. I dug unlocking the new power-ups. I dug taking people down. It felt like the takedown challenges in Burnout, but with added weaponry, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the races themselves were really fun, and I agree with you. The graphics are stunning. It's a rock-solid frame rate. It looks buttery and wonderful on my monitor.
Is that what you were gonna say?
I guess that's what came out.
Yeah.
And yes, the integration of the friends stuff and the social network layer, which is becoming sort of a standard now for racing games and I think all sports games, and I'm sure it's going to seep into first-person shooters in a bigger way. It's revolutionary. I mean, the fact that the conversation we just had about I'll beat yours, well, if I had it later, I would have beat you. That right there, I was playing the game and I didn't care about leveling up. I cared about beating McButters.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, and it said McButters.
That's
Butters.
Yeah, that's his Xbox Live handle.
Yeah.
It would tell me your time, and all I cared about was kicking your ass.
Did you change your icon to as a challenge for people?
Yeah, to you,
Yeah,
because I knew
saw
you
it.
were gonna see
Yeah,
me.
I saw it.
Because you can change your profile pic with Xbox Live Vision camera, and so I knew
all right.
Alex was gonna be looking at
Because it
my
has a
scores.
beard, and I was like, "That's new." I was like, "He is you, son of a
Yeah.
bitch. I'm coming for you."
It really changes everything because you were constant. Like I would see, oh, Dan did use this car, so I'm gonna use that car. You know, it completely changes my entire interface with the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is. I'm thinking about what my friends are doing constantly, and and it
did the same- I remember doing
motivates
the
me.
same
And if you guys
with
were
you
all
on the other
playing,
game.
I mean, we had one copy we were sharing, but if we all had copies and we were all playing at the time, you would see those things come up of,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Alex just beat your score, and it's like,
And there's smack talk on your wall.
Yeah.
There's this smack talk element where you can put in. It'll say, oh, you beat their time by such and such seconds. Do you want to add a personal message? And if you get really competitive with your
Yeah.
buddies.
I think that's the thing that this, because like you said, that's kind of in a lot of other games. Even in like Trials HD has the same thing. I was going head to head with a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
But that wall thing where you can leave a comment, that sting, that's I think a really new addition to this game.
Cool.
Yeah.
Check
I
it
liked
out. All right, everybody, make sure to stay tuned for This Day in Rad History. But we want to thank our sponsors, The Ben Heck Show. If you guys have not seen The Ben Heck Show, you must check it out. Ben Heck is this zany mod electronics enthusiast guy, and him and his friends do a bunch of modding creations based on community suggestions. And they are brought to you by Element 14, which is this massive online place for people to go who are electronics and modding enthusiasts.
Cool.
So check it out. It's every other Monday here on Revision 3. And also check out element14.com for all your modding and electronics needs.
We get this cool Harry Potter background. You can have your background on our show by sending it to fans at totallyradshow.com.
Correctamundo. We'll see you tomorrow.
Get t-shirts. Get Totally Rad Show t-shirts at Jinx. This is a Jinx shirt, but that's not one of ours.
Yeah, but buy it. It's
But
awesome.
jinx.com/TRS.
Correct.
T-shirts.
On tomorrow's show, we take a look at the new Disney animated film, Tangled.
Today is November 23rd, and on this day in Rad, all the way back in 2004, a little game called World of Warcraft came out. And at the time, full of bugs, full of crashes,
Of course.
queues waiting for people to log on. Everybody said very polished game, but I remember at the time, you couldn't find it in stores. They stopped selling them because the queues were so long for people to get on servers that
funny.
they pulled it from stores.
Wow.
And I managed to get a copy, but they were like selling on eBay for much higher than their price because people wanted to play the game so much.
And you were saying when we got back to it later, with Burning Crusade, it might have been just before Burning Crusade, but you were commenting, oh my God, you can actually log into this game?
Yeah.
Because we were and we had a couple of those queue thin moments, but
I remember I was on Blackhand, server Blackhand, and I would have to wait for 20 minutes, 40 minutes in order to play.
It doesn't
One on,
seem
one off.
long enough ago, 2004.
that was 6 years ago.
It doesn't seem
Maybe
that
even
long
7.
to me, but
So. Well, for one game that's still playable and hugely successful right now,